Check. All right, we got lav mic and everything. Who needs a t-shirt? Anybody need a bonus shirt? Let me do a couple of those real quick. I gotta test the arm out. Let's go underhand and let's go overhand. Oh, come on. Making me look bad. All right, I've got something really exciting for you right here. And the good news is it's other people. We're gonna do something right now called REGS Talks, which we've done in years past, where I have invited some really great people that are doing really exciting things in their business. REGS is our coaching company, Real Estate Growth Systems. We just literally ripped off the idea of TED Talks and renamed it. So we're talking about action-packed, 10-ish minute shares from some really great agents, brokers, team leaders. So this is where you want to get your pen out or your notes tablet or whatever program you're using. And we're going to have some incredible people come up one after another. I'll give you a little deep breath moment in between them. And their goal is in about 10 minutes to give you something you could take home and implement completely. We're going to have 5 of those. Action-packed morning here. So get prepared. Got a couple of things I'm going to do really quickly while you do get prepared. But I just want to invite you to humble yourself a little bit. You might be already doing one of these things. You might be already doing a couple of these things. But just be a student right now. Just be an observer, a note taker, a recorder. And then when you get home or on your way home, maybe even before you leave if you have an extra day, to prioritize what you're going to implement when you get home, because you can't implement 87 ideas. And you start to prioritize. Maybe one of these will make their way to the top of your list and be something that pretty simply could be implemented to change your business, change your life, help you achieve that 6th or 7th level of impact and purpose in your life. So what I'm going to do here in just a second is jump off the stage, invite them up one at a time, and they're worthy of your full focus. Before that, I do want to remind you of the hashtag opportunity today. So this would be a great session during or after to drop a couple of nuggets that you're taking away, some action items out on social media with the hashtag RGCon23, RGCon23, so that you can look back on them later, but also so that others aren't here can see the value that's here and hopefully have some takeaways as well. So you don't need to post somebody's 10-minute instructions, but a couple of nuggets and takeaways, especially in the Real Geeks Facebook group, would be valuable for others and would enter you to win some bonus raffle tickets. If you are really diehard about making a raffle ticket wager on the race, you're going to need to do that right at the end of this session before we find out who won that bad boy. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to invite up to the stage Al Lewis. I asked Al, I literally said, Al, if you could talk on 10 minutes for something that you think would have huge impact for Real Geeks users, what would it be? And he said, what if I just talk about what I would do if I needed to get deals done right away? I need to get some deals closed and earn some commissions. So, you good?
Bring it to him.
Handheld. 3, 2, 1. Oh gosh. Flip it. Check. Take it away. He'll get you. He's coming. We swapped him on him. 1 foot. Try it now. Stand by.
I could just do this really loud.
Nah, we'll get a recording. So anyway, Al said, what I think people would benefit from is like literally what are the brass tacks, narrow it down, avoid the fluff. If I had an agent on my team that was like, I need to close a deal, what would you do with the Real Geeks platform? So here comes the mic. Here comes Al, action-packed, 10 minutes.
Hello.
Ready, set, go.
All right, good morning. So here's the thing. I've been doing this for a long time, and really what I do today is no different than what I've done for the last 38 years, just the tools are a little different. And in those 38 years, I personally closed over 2,000 transactions. My team and agents that have been worked for me in my offices have closed thousands more. And it's a very simple system. Again, the tools have changed. Now I use Real Geeks as opposed to 3x5 index cards and an 8.5x11 or a legal pad. But it's really simple. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to segment my database. And I'm going to call the best leads that I have in the database. Well, first let me back up a second. The thing is, you have to know whether you want a deal or need a deal. You should always want a deal and never need a deal. And if you follow this program, you will always want a deal and never need a deal. Huge difference. Okay? So what you have to do also is understand we are salespeople. And you've got to treat real estate not only as a career, but as a job. You have to work 40 productive hours in a week. 40, that's it. We all know that we work more than 40 hours, but if you really break it down, 40 productive hours in the week. 30 of those hours have to be on income-producing activities. There are only 3 income-producing activities, and they are 1A, 1B, 1C. They are writing and negotiating contracts. They are face-to-face appointments with buyers and sellers, listing and showing appointments, and prospecting. How many hours last week did you spend on income-producing activities? And when I say, working buyers and sellers, I'm not talking about going to the closings. That's not income-producing at this point. I'm not talking about going to the home inspections. I'm talking income producing. So those 3 items, 30 hours a week. If you didn't spend any time writing contracts or face-to-face, you needed to spend 30 hours prospecting. Okay? And that's working your database to start. And there's more than just working your database, but that's where I'm going to start. Monday morning, if I need a deal, I'm going to the office. I am going to and I'm going to segment my database. I'm not going to go through with you how I segment my database on Real Geeks, but my team knows it's one click. And I'm going to call all of my best prospects first, the people that I've spoken with that I expect to list their house or sell them a house. I'm going to call them first. Then the next segment of my database are people that I've contacted, but I can't call them my best prospects. But my goal is to move them to my best prospects. The next segment of the people is kind of new over the years because with the Real Geeks database, these are customers that I haven't contacted yet. And I'm going to call those with the goal of moving them to one of the other segments of my database. Really simple, okay? And I'm going to do this for 3 hours. I'm going to call as many people twice. I'm going to double dial them in the morning. I'm not leaving voicemails. I'm not emailing them. I'm not texting them. Why? Because I'm doing it again in the afternoon. I'm going to double dial them again. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do it till 11 o'clock. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go have lunch. I'm going to go work out, which I don't do that very much. I'm going to do all of these things. And I'm going to take a break. And why am I going to do it in the afternoon? Some people answer in the morning. Some people answer in the afternoon. I was shocked with our ISA team calling to find out the best response we're getting is between 4 and 7 p.m. I always thought that morning was the best time to call. It's the best time for me because I'm fresh. Okay, so I'm going to call them now in the afternoon. I'm going to call them again. And this time I'm going to double dial again. If they don't answer, I will leave a voicemail. I will text them. I will call them. Okay? And the next day, I'm going to work on the next one. Now, if I'm a team member, not a single agent, but a team member, and for you team leaders, you do this, I'm going to go to my team leader and I'm going to say, hey, can you give me the 40 leads in our database that are unassigned that have been back to the most recent ones that have been back to the website? And I promise you, Mr. Team Leader or Miss Team Leader, I will call every one of them just the way I just told you. I will call them, I will call double dial them in the morning, I will call double dial them in the afternoon. I promise you I'm going to do this. Only take the number of leads that you are willing to commit to do that with. What's your team leader going to say? What are you, team leaders, why are you not doing this with your agents? Okay? Make the phone calls, make them done. Okay, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use another tool called my cell phone. And I'm going to, 10 a day, I am going to go through my cell phone and I'm going to make phone calls to people that I haven't talked to in a while, that are in my cell phone. Past customers, friends, family. And I'm not talking about your mom and your sister who you talk to every day. That doesn't count. Okay, or your kids. Of course they're going to call you when they're ready to buy a house. I'm going to call, hey, it's Al Lewis. I saw you in my cell phone, and I can't believe it's been so long that we've spoken. How are you? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's everybody doing? And I'm going to call 10 a day. You know, and somewhere along the conversation, how are you? They're going to ask you, how are you doing? I'm doing great. I'm still selling real estate, still selling a ton of houses. As a matter of fact, do you know anybody who might be thinking about buying or selling? I'm not going to make that the purpose of my call, but yes, I'm going to ask. So over the course of the week, I'm going to call 50 people in my cell phone that are my sphere of influence who I'm not calling. How many people have called everybody in their cell phone in the last 30 days? Nobody. Okay? But I need a deal. And I need a deal now. And I want a deal. So if I'm doing this day in and day out, so if I'm spending, and it's simple, 30 hours a week. Okay, what I'm also doing, I'm going to give you another actionable, and it's outside of Real Geeks also. I'm going to sit an open house. But I'm not looking for an open house opportunity. You know what an open house opportunity is? It means my seller whose house is sat on the market and is overpriced wants an open house, and I don't want to do it, and I want you to do it for me for free. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to all the other agents in my office, other agents that I know, and I'm going to say, do you have any new listings coming up? And I'm going to set that new listing. I'm going to say, hey, you're listing that on Thursday? I'm going to sit it on Saturday. Okay? Find one that's fresh to the market because we all know those are the ones that people want to come to. Okay? So, got it. So that's it. I'm going to do that 30 hours a week. I'm going to call consistently. And if I'm showing properties for 6 hours a week, it's going to be 24 hours. Again, I'm going to work 40 productive hours in a week. That's what you have to do. 40 productive hours. Now, we all have the leads in our database that are just sitting there. We know this. If you're not going to call them, find someone to call them. Well, Gabe, I have my ISA team, and again, we've called for a few people in the room, and it's amazing what we've found. The results are consistent. 10% of the people that we call 500 leads. We find that the phone numbers are wrong, which tells me those leads were never called. Okay? 20% of the leads we make contact with. We probably send out of 500 that we call 5 to 10 good leads back. Those are good leads to work. Leads that are planning on buying in the next 6 months. But the worst part about it is 5 to 10% of the people have already bought from somebody else. They're already in your database and you're not working them because you're sitting there doing something. You're worried about, oh, I'm not doing any business. But instead of making the calls, you're worrying about it. Stop worrying about it and take massive action. Okay? And if you want more information on our ISA team calling for you, this is not a business. I don't make any money on it. As a matter of fact, I subsidize it. Okay? It was just something that I started to do for some friends of mine, Dino, Cricket, if I didn't mention you, I know there's a few other people here that we've done it before. We don't do it. We don't mass market it. We don't want to, that's not what I want. We're doing it to help other people. Talk to Gabe, okay? He's over there. He'll be happy to hook you up, okay? So, and the other thing I wanted to mention, the funny thing, Todd put a coaching session with me. I don't coach. I'm not interested in coaching. If you guys want to meet with Gabe and I for an hour, it's not for sale. It's only because we want to donate to Compassion. So thanks for putting up with me for 10 minutes, and God bless.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate you, buddy. If you got questions for Al, track him down at a break. I asked him if he was willing to do this, and he said absolutely. I said, what do you think would help people the most? He said, I'll just tell him what I would do if I needed a deal. And so that's that. Now, if some of you thought that was intense, that's what you do if you need a deal now. Once you get rolling and you have a great pipeline, it's not that much different, but there's maybe a little bit more flexibility with that plan. I'll let you talk to Al about that. But what I do want to point out is that Al is very clear on that approach. Very clear on where the leads are, how many calls, how many hours. I can't imagine being in a place where you truly need, let's be clear on the word need, to get a deal done. I got to make a payment. I got to feed my family. I got to keep the tuition going or whatever. And you wouldn't be willing to do that. To sit in the air conditioning with the beverage of your choice at a safe location in the United States of America and use the telephone. I mean, think about that. If you need a closing and you're not willing to do that, you just got to look in the mirror. I'm not saying that's the only way. That's Al's 10 minutes on what he would do. And he's proven it time and time again that it would work. Now, you may have another approach, but the point is, if you've been saying that you desperately need a transaction for a long time and haven't been willing to do something like that, maybe that's the wake-up call that you need, because it's doable. If you have leads and you have a phone and you have people in that phone and you have a sphere of influence, that's very doable. So thanks, Al. We really appreciate it. And I hope you guys are getting good notes. I hope you're dropping some hashtags and making those notes in a way that you could apply that when you get back home. If you're a team leader and you can think of a team member right now that needs that instruction, be prepared to turn around and share that with them. Or create your version of that. As leaders, we've got to be able to give people clarity and a vision so that they believe that they can actually achieve the outcome that we all wrote down as a goal. Otherwise, it's just kind of a wish, right? But when you have a clear plan like that, that's achievable. All right, our next REGS talk is going to be from the man, the myth, the legend. I like to call him Mo. Michael Oden. Where's Mo? Here he comes. Look at him. All right, now I want to say real quick while Mo's on his way up, Mo's been doing some really cool stuff lately. He's got a very, very cool podcast on something he's super passionate about, which is marriage, as well as is doing some really cool stuff in real estate that's a little bit different than a lot of what most of us do. And so he's going to tell you about that and how he works with institutional investors and gets to do volume business instead of going after one deal at a time. But I want you to put your hands together real quick, coming out of Marietta, Atlanta area in Georgia, Mr. Mo Oden.
Thanks, Todd. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. Can institutional investors make your boat go faster? So, putting that in the spirit of this week's conference, can working with institutional investors help you run to win? Now, that's a question I can't answer for you, but I'll tell you what I can do. Here's my promise to you. Over the next few minutes, I'll educate you on the subject of working with institutional investors, who they are, how they work, how you can earn, learn, and grow by working with them. Now, also, I'm going to equip you with a few mindset tools that will enable you to incorporate working with institutional investors in your everyday business. And then lastly, I'll share a little bit about my journey, the results, and hopefully my story will enable you to answer that initial question of can working with institutional investors make your boat go faster? So, does that sound good? As we go along, be sure to write down any questions that you have. And I'll try to save a minute or two at the end, but probably just catch me after the break to ask me these questions. I'm here to serve. So you're probably asking yourself, what is an institutional investor? It's simple. A person or small group of people in charge of a pool of funds designated to be deployed for a mission or profit in a real estate venture. Is that it? That's just that. It's just that simple. Now you've got the hedge fund types, you got the BlackRocks, et cetera. But you got local entrepreneurs and nonprofits, and we're going to focus on the small guys for this conversation. Now, just recently, our wacky federal government has done some things to try to address the housing crisis that we're in. It's Democrats, Republicans, everybody in between has come together and created things like housing tax credits, and most recently, something called ARPA, was the American Rescue Plan Act. Our housing industry needs rescuing. Are you willing to help? I was. I got a call back in 2017 from a guy in a truck with a hammer, professionally known as a general contractor. He asked me to help him find houses for a client that he's working with. Because I'm an agent and that's what I do, I figured that I could help. Now here's the seed of success for you. I promise if you pick it up, plant it, it will bear fruit for you in due time. During our initial conversation with that client, I asked that client one simple question. What is your buy box? If you haven't heard that term, you heard it now, commit it to your memory. Institutional investors are simple to work with. You just simply need to understand one thing. What type of product are they looking for? They're generally looking for single-family homes, 1 to 4 units, or land to build that on, or they're looking for apartments or land to build that on as well. So the next important question I'm going to ask you, or that you need to ask an institutional investor is, where are they looking geographically? Right? And what I mean by that, get down to the city, the neighborhood, and even the street level so that you can give them what it is that they're desiring. It's just that simple. Now, I have another quick question for you. By show of hands, do any of you come across single-family homes in your daily business? All right. Now, another quick question for you. As you're driving the kids around town, touring with clients, do any of you see land as you're driving around town? All right. So all of you who raised your hands and acknowledged that question, you are equipped to work with institutional investors. Now, here's the next question for you. Now, when you're talking to an institutional investor, you want to ask them what's their disposition strategy. That term is real simple. How do you plan to sell the house once you bought it, right? Or do you plan to manage that property yourself or outsource property management? Now, the key to that question is now you know if you can help them sell it on the back end or potentially do property management for them on the back end as well. Now, once you understand the institutional investor's acquisition and disposition strategy, you can start your service journey, or in the spirit of this week's conference, you can start running to win. Now, some of you might be starting to run into your next closing. Now, if you start your journey to work with institutional investors, be sure to not go at it alone. That's something that Todd talked about yesterday during his talk. It's critical in order to be successful with working with institutional investors that you have to bring together a team of folks who can help you get things done. Now, the first person that you would want to call or have on your team is a GC. As I mentioned a few seconds ago, the GC called me when he got that opportunity. If I had an opportunity, I would call a GC. Why? Because you need somebody who can help fix up properties for them or help build properties for them. It's just that simple. As I mentioned before, these people manage pools of funds. They're not builders and GCs, so you want to help them bring it all together. Now, again, these are folks that if you don't have them in your network, it's no problem. You can simply go to networking events, meet up with these institutional investors at their networking events and get to know these people because they will already have them within their network. Go around, check references, check past projects, and add the good ones to your database. Also, institutional investors will help you work with their GCs already in their network because you're bringing something to the table. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, all this is good information. I get it. It's pretty simple, but nobody is selling houses today. Well, my answer to that line of questioning is you simply have to open your eyes. Where there's no vision, the people will perish. Do any of you guys want to perish? I know I don't. All right? So my answer to that line of questioning is simple. Here's another seed of success. If you pick it up and plant it, I promise you it will grow. The biggest opportunity, in my opinion, in today's real estate is church. Now, I'm not talking about going to church. I'm talking about actual churches themselves, right? Church attendance and membership is consistently dwindling in the United States. Don't take my word for it. Google it. You'll see. And I have a confession to make to y'all. I flipped the church this summer. We're on a vacation with my wife in St. Martin. And I tell you, it felt real good. And some of you might be asking, how good? simply to the tune of if I had sold $1 million house in my market. Now, I sold this church to an institutional investor for $150,000. Under that church lied land that did not have to be rezoned. All they had to simply do was tear it down and build 3 houses, and hopefully I have the opportunity to sell those 3 houses for that buyer coming here soon. In general, the zoning that exists under churches allows for subdivisions to be built, not just single-family houses. Here's another seed of success for you. Pick it up. If you plant it, I promise you it will yield fruit for you. Small commercial lots are my second favorite opportunity to create a need for housing. I have a listing coming up that's going to pay me 3 times. Small commercial lot in the city of Atlanta that 2 years ago, my GC partner and I found for our nonprofit client in Atlanta. It had been on the market for years because it was just kind of a unique case situation. But once you dive into the zoning a little bit, you will understand that a lot of commercial lots allow for residential houses to be built on them. So what's happening? My client purchased that lot in 2021. He went through all the permitting process to build. He started building in March. Come December, I'll have 10 new listings, 3-story townhomes in the city of Atlanta that'll be selling for in the low 300s. And because I'm so busy looking for the next opportunities, the buyers that come from that, I'm going to just refer that to my associate broker and get a referral off of that. So everyone wins. Now you might be asking yourself, this all sounds great, but what if a prospective client doesn't sell the property? I'm only able to earn a small commission on the sale of a lot. That's not enough to support your business. I get it. I had that same question when I started working for Habitat for Humanity this year, right? They don't sell houses on the open market, but they needed my assistance in finding lots. So I resolved that challenge by simply having a conversation with them, decided that I would end up managing all of their due diligence process, and we agreed for me to be compensated above and beyond the commission. Now, in summary, family, since 2017, I've closed approximately 45 buy-side transactions for my nonprofit and institutional investors, and this has translated into 125 listings and growing. I've learned of how to see land opportunities others miss in plain sight. I've learned how to develop land. I've learned how to build relationships. I've built relationships and contacts for present and future development opportunities. Working with institutional investors is not a get-rich-quick strategy. My journey has been 6 years. It's been a lot of unpaid service, a lot of deals that didn't close, but that's real estate, right? It's been a lot of tire kicking, et cetera. But I encourage you to think about working with institutional investors as synonymous to farming. Remember, he who plants generously reaps generously. So with that said, my name is Michael Oden. Most call me Mo. I'm a real estate broker and developer from Marietta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. If you have any questions on what we discussed, I'm here to serve. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Mo.
Yes, sir.
Hang on. I got 1 or 2 follow-up questions. I'm coming up here.
Absolutely.
All right. My question is, most of the people in the room are selling houses one at a time. They're making pretty good commissions one at a time. But at the same time, when they hear things like work with the builder, work with a big pool of money, it sounds great. And then a lot of people's eyes sort of glaze over and they hear all that information and then they're like, it sounds complicated. I don't think I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Where would you start if you went home from this conference and you said, this good-looking guy named Mo told me that I could go spend money for these people and then get paid multiple times, 3 at a time, 8 at a time, 12 at a time. Literally, what would you do first thing?
The first thing I would do is 2 things. One, it's a 2-part piece. I would look for church opportunities. Literally, y'all.
Okay, and that's because the zoning of churches and the land amount is pretty unique.
Correct.
Okay.
But the zoning, if you look at it, most churches don't need to be rezoned. The church simply just needs to be torn down.
Okay, so you're just thinking of that as a development, basically land development opportunity.
Correct.
All right, so what if I've never done development before and that scares me and I don't even know what all the parts are?
Well, you don't have to do development if you sold houses. The second piece to that is find your local affiliate habitat. Many of these habitats have received ARPA funds. The one that I'm working with, they received $14 million. And they literally called me and had a meeting with the CEO and their board member. And they're like, Mo, we need land. Goes back to the question about the churches. Here you go. Here's churches. They're dwindling, easy to negotiate. The persons aren't emotionally connected to the parcels. They just need to get it moved.
Let me be clear. Mo's not out there taking advantage of churches, right? That's not who this man is. That's not who you are. But these are organizations that have said, we no longer need this building, we've moved or whatever. And he's able to help them out of a financial situation.
Yep.
and find an opportunity for a developer. That was my point. You don't need to be the developer.
No.
You're finding it for the developer.
Correct.
And they're going, we didn't even know that existed.
I give you one that's even quicker and easier for those of you. Go into your local MLS, find land opportunities, connect with the local affiliate habitat, and present those land opportunities to those habitats. Easy example, I started doing that with habitats just in the past 6 weeks. I've sold them 6 parcels. Right? Now, if you look at the commissions on a parcel, it may not be that much. That's fine. I had a conversation with them and I said, hey, this is not enough for me to do what it is that I do. They said, great, what would it take? We came to a number. It's typically, around $200,000 house commission. I said, that worked. Let's do it.
Okay.
And so there's land opportunities that exist out there. They just need somebody to put in the legwork and the time to negotiate these deals.
So that applies across the board to deals that you're like, man, that's too small. It's not worth my time. Negotiate a minimum commission and still help those people and get those deals done. Okay, last question, because it sounds too good to be true. I just want you to clarify, because this literally sounds hard to believe for a lot of us, that there are organizations that have money and they are more nervous about not being able to deploy that money
Yes.
than we are about our ability to help them deploy that money. Can you explain some of the specifics of that, or is it?
Great question. I mean, it's simple with nonprofits, especially if they don't spend it, they won't get it back. It's just that simple. So they literally have a money that's burning a hole in their pocket because if they don't spend it, their funders won't reinvest into their mission because they haven't deployed what they've already given them. So you need to take that as an opportunity to help them spend that money ethically on good deals that help them meet their mission and can help them continue that circle of funding their missions. And again, these folks they manage money. They don't manage real estate. They need your expertise. They need your connections with builders, developers, contractors, appraisers, attorneys, etc. They need you to be as that kind of a concierge.
All right, last question. Can I do this without it dragging me away from my core business?
Honestly, I do 98% of this, and that might sound shameful, but I do 98% of this from my desk and at home throughout the time.
So the answer is yes. This doesn't have to be a new business.
Correct.
This is just more
Something you can
transactions
add on.
in a slightly different area of expertise and discovery and hustle.
Correct. I still have your typical buyers, sellers that I've now just started to refer them on to my associate broker or another agent that I have at the office so that I can continue to focus on this. So it just really depends on how much of this you want to pick up and run with or how much of it you don't, et cetera. Now, what will take the biggest time is making the connections with the entities. But again, my suggestion to you is start with your local Habitat affiliate. Habitat is like franchises, if you didn't know. They have local affiliates in your market. Literally go on the door, knock, and ask them, how can I serve? And they're going to say, hey, we need dirt. I got you.
I'll take that. I'll shake your hand. Thank you, sir. All right. Everybody take a deep breath. We had Al get us with what he would do to get deals now. We got Mo coming up with a whole new way of thinking for a lot of people. I'd like to go do business in 3s and 4s and 5s and 12s and 24s and get paid on 1 or 2 or 3 parts of that and be able to help people with a legitimate mission in the community. Next up, Mr. Olympia himself, Scott Hansen, is coming to the stage, and he's going to share some really cool stuff that he's been working on that is sort of, he would say accidentally, I would tell you very deliberately, perpetuating an incredible business that supports an incredible lifestyle. Here you go, sir.
Great. Thank you, Todd. So let me see how this works. So my subject is how listings get listings. And let's just start this. So I'm Scott Hansen. I'm in Southwest Florida. I service Naples, Fort Myers, Bonita Springs, Estero, and Marco Island. A couple other places too. I do between 20 to 35 transactions a year. This year it's about 700,000 transaction. We'll see what happens in the next month or so. But I also want to give you a little bit about my background. So I've been doing real estate for about 7 years. And before that, I did corporate retail. There's actually someone I used to work with here, too. And I used to be in marketing, and I used to retouch catalogs and magazines. I've worked for J. Crew and W Magazine and lots of other things. And so I've taken my experience in my past into my current job in real estate. And so one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy is our listings. So, but my business is about 50% sellers and 50% buyers. At least that's what it's been in the past. But next year, it looks like it might be a lot more listings. So one of the things that I did, the first home that I ever sold, I actually was a ex-coworker, and her house was on the market. It wasn't selling, and I was a fresh agent, and I was on a team, and they offered staging. And so actually the home wasn't selling. Somehow she terminated everything and went with me, and we brought in a stager, and the home sold in 3 days. So I said, oh my gosh, this staging thing is, something to offer. We talk about, what your value proposition is. So ever since that first home, I got on the bandwagon of offering staging. So with that, over time, every transaction I would go on, I would buy more accessories. So I don't do furniture. I just do accessories, pillows, shiny things, glass things, and try to make the home look like a model. And with that, I have like a staging unit. It's very near my home. Figure out what a home needs and bring it in to make it look as best as possible. And so I can take $1 million home, make it look better. I can take a $300,000 home and make it look like a model as well. Also, if it's vacant, I still stage it. I think there's a kind of brand quality that I want. So for even if it's a $200,000 home, which I don't think exists in my market anymore, but I will do it. And actually, on this case, this home right here, we had, and this was maybe 6 months ago, we had 100 people through the open house in 2 days. We had multiple offers. Actually, it fell through 3 times, but we got through to the end. It was a 96-year-old home, and so that's what I do. Now I will do photography and video. I'll do video maybe after a certain price point, maybe over 500,000, and it's just that's in my market I can get a package for about $500 for video and traditional photography. Like I said before, I will stage everything. We don't need to do that. This is one of the things I also do. So this was actually just last week. So had a brand new listing, and I was in Fort Myers driving down. It's torrential rain, starts to let up. The weather was pretty good, but not great. And this is in Marco Island, and the weather was okay. And so just to make it a little greener, the water a little bluer. Like I told you before, I have a marketing background where I used to retouch models and bedding, like whatever it was. So image quality was very, very important to me. And I am getting at the end, as to how this is translating to my business. So I also, now that homes aren't selling, in 3 days, I am finally doing a listing booklet, and this is something new. I used to do a card, and now I'm doing a booklet, probably for anything over 500,000. And in our coaching group, we were actually talking about what can you leave in the home, where it's going to be with that owner and stay there. DM had a couple ideas, and then I was going, oh wow, I don't think I would ever throw this out. So this is probably going to stay with them. If they were impressed, you have a chance at some point to maybe get the other side when they're ready to sell. It also impresses the seller too, that you're leaving a booklet there that most agents aren't going to do it. I come from a print background. This is something that I can do in my sleep, but a printer certainly can help you out. So the listing booklet, it's plug and play after it's been designed. It's the same format every single time. Something, it's very logical. It's a community shot in the beginning. Then it's how the home opens up, amenities at the end. So it's very formula, but it looks well designed. I also started doing television in my area. So for all of you who are afraid to get in front of the camera and video, that's me. So, and actually, let's play this because it's actually kind of cute. Is there sound? This gorgeous home features 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a 2-car air-conditioned garage. This is one of the few rare Caden models here in Naples Reserve. The home boasts a multitude of designer upgrades. No expense was spared in the design of the home. There is a chef's kitchen, an oversized island, quartz countertops, and custom cabinets with stainless steel appliances. And the floors are gorgeous tile throughout most of the home. The owner's suite features a spacious bedroom, a walk-in shower, and its separate vanities for a spa-like experience. The large lanai has one of the most captivating views in the community. Looking for amenities? Looking for a resort-style pool and lap pool? Naples Reserve has that. Looking for a sand beach and volleyball? Naples Reserve has that as well. I'm Scott Hansen with Premier Plus Realty, and I'm already living my best life in Naples. Maybe it's time that you did too. For more information on the home, go to 239-565-2135 or go to my website, www.shansengroup.com, and let me help you live your best life too. Great. Not bad for getting in front of the camera lately, so. It's like a package. It's not a commercial. There's a Sunday show. It's called Out and About. I think they have packages for like 5. I bought 5, or what I think it was like $450 or $400 per. I just started doing it. I haven't gotten any calls from it. You can't tell if they've found the home a different way, but it's something that you can offer sellers, and then it's also great for social media. So like anyone who's following you or whatever, and actually I didn't know if it was taking any effect, but I actually found out it has. So actually I have a listing coming up. It's over 2 million, and they actually had seen it actually on Twitter or something like that. And then actually an agent on the East Coast who follows me, she goes, "Hey, how are the television commercials going?" So I also do Google reviews from the sellers. Let's keep on going. And so here are the results, but we'll speed this up a little bit. So I'm getting referrals, the staging helps, photography and video, listing booklet, television. Postcards are actually starting to work again. So that's old traditional things actually, and I'll show you actually what postcards are getting for me. So actually, I was talking to Todd. I said, "Hey, kind of by dumb luck, I have 11 listings coming up." Actually, I think it's 13. So
yeah, right. Luck.
So one's from Postcard. I actually got the HOA president, and she's now referring me, and they have this cocktail hour that they're all talking. So I have 3 more listings coming just from that. There was something that I sold in a very difficult road. I did Postcards. The person referred me. I'm getting 2 homes off of that. Let's see. Social media is really great, and it's what works for me. Now I know my demographic is a little bit different. Not everyone has a $700,000 average transaction. But one of the things that really I got from this conference, from being here 5 years ago, is you can piece together what's going to work for you. And so, I built my business that way. It hasn't been a formula that you have to do everything a certain way. You can figure out what works for you. and what actually translates into sales. So,
All right, don't go anywhere because I'm going to force you to brag a little bit more on yourself. Scott likes to say things like, I got lucky and got 11 more listings. So just to point one of those things out, right? So you're doing the television thing, and Craig astutely asked you the question, is that an ad? No. It's on one of those kind of spotlight shows that almost every market has, and most of us know, there's 37 viewers, and none of them are going to call. But Scott knows, as a marketing guy, that the real value in that is repurposing it, and the fact that sellers, right or wrong, think it's stinking amazing. Now, Scott's not just going to dupe potential sellers with that and go, this is something great I do, when he knows that that first airing date is not great. But if you saw all the other things, let's put your results page back up on the slides if we can. And if you look at all of those things, look at how many different ways, different things he could use to repurpose that TV spot. With the authority of the Fox affiliate down at the bottom, it can go in all those booklets, it can go on those postcards, it can go on social media profiles, it can go on your Google My Business profile, it can go on nearly every one of them. The website, all those things.
yeah, it's also important, like on the TV ad, I didn't think we were going to get a lot from it, but they wanted to I wanted to repurpose it, and they just gave me a link, and social media hates when you have a link going outside. So we actually got the download so that I would have it so it stays in Facebook or Instagram.
Always
or
get the
wherever it
original
is,
file. Always
so
get
that it can keep on playing and all of that. So
okay, so
really
I want to force you to give the most direct, summarized answer you can, because I think the real takeaway for people here, there's a lot of nuggets you can use, you can mimic, you can copy, but how are your current listings getting you more listings? I know the answer. I want to see how you express it so that other people can take and repeat.
How are my listings getting more listings? I think I go way above and beyond on what I do, and I think that actually translates to, people see that. People know that, we were talking the other day that, like, for what I do, I go way above and beyond my competition. So it also gives me confidence, and that's one of the big things, is that when I go into listing presentation, I know I'm going to beat everyone. Like, I know I'm going to knock their socks off from what I have to offer. Now, I try to, beat out the friend, neighbor who they have kids playing together and all that. But, in my listing presentation, I just go for the meat of, like, what I have to offer.
Yeah, one of the things Scott does really well, and if you follow him on social media, you'll see this, is he's giving everyone, not just potential buyers, a window into how he markets homes for sale. So I'm trying very hard not to go through all the process that I know is behind it. But one of the things we do when we market a listing, if this is your goal, is to use every listing to get more listings, is you're marketing the listing for a buyer, for the best buyer. But you're also marketing the listing to get more listings. Now, you're not taking advantage of that seller. You're doing more marketing than you normally would because there's more than one benefit. The benefit primarily is to serve your client and find a buyer. The other benefit is you're going to get more sellers and buyers than that one transaction and perpetuate your business. And that's what Scott's saying. He's like, they just keep coming. And he's so humble. He's like, I'm just getting lucky. I'm like, you are not getting lucky. Get on the stage and tell people what you're doing. And so if you want to be the most efficient you can be with your current listings to get more listings, be like Scott. Blow it out of the water, let people see it, document it on all those key places where people are vetting and looking for real estate agents, so that because you work harder than normal on one listing, you'll get another one. Instead of having to work hard on the listing and then work hard on getting a listing, you just work really, really hard. You do a great job on that listing and it gets you one, or like you said, 2 or 3 more from that one. If you promote the heck out of it and show the world how you're marketing. We say you market every listing 4 ways. We can talk about it at the break, but you market narrowly to the ideal client. You market broadly, shotgun marketing. You preemptively market it before you're even on the market, and then you market it for more listings. So those are all 4 ways. Scott does this really well. For the quickest glimpse at it, check out his social media, but I'm sure he would be happy to talk to you more. You are leaving today to head to Spain, how dare you. But before he takes off for his Spanish vacation, you should ping him on some of these other things. Anything I didn't hit, because I'm just trying to brag on you because you won't brag on you, because that's working.
It is working, and actually I have you to thank as well. So.
Well, we'll do that later, but just notice that in his video with the clever hop, which he admitted, he's like, it's pretty cute. It was cute, Scott. It was cute.
Well, the thing was, you got to stand out. The whole thing was like, I didn't like getting in front of the camera. I'm not as comfortable up here, but you know what? It's like everyone on that show is like, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home that has gorgeous countertops.
So instead of that, Scott jumped, changed outfits, and worked on his biceps for a year before the video. But one other thing that I really want to point out is you said in your video, I'm already living my ideal lifestyle in this area. And that's true. What I want you to see is when he posted his very quick and humbly went past it, how many deals he does a year and his average price point, that's how many deals he's choosing to do per year.
Because that's correct.
Because by design,
how I could crank a lot more, but you know, one of the things is balance, health, you know.
in Spain.
In Spain. But finally.
Okay, thank you so much. I made you stay up here longer than you wanted. I'll take that. Appreciate you. Okay, I'm fired up about this next one. Raise your hand if you love paper files. Nope. No one? All right, raise your hand if you love physically delivering paper and checks to title companies and buyers and sellers. There's not even a smart aleck in the crowd. That's congratulations, everybody. Okay, Matt Tranel, come on up. He's got a system that is so efficient, it will probably blow your mind. I will not tell you what he's doing, but he is doing some incredible things with a lot of life going on and doing it entirely paperlessly. So I want you to tune in, take notes, maybe not on paper for this one, maybe do this on a device. Pay attention, also awkwardly humble, but listen and hear what you can create in your business. Take it away, sir.
Check. There we go. How you guys doing? Good. I apologize. I do not have slides, Scott. That was too much. I don't have the capacity for that. So, to give you a little bit of background, I've been selling for 10 years. I got into real estate to give me a little bit more. I was retail sales, so I didn't like the glass. I kind of had a ceiling of just my income and retail sales. I had kids, and so I couldn't attend their stuff because I had to go work when, you guys wanted to come buy stuff, right? So got into real estate and enjoyed it, but about 3 years in, I want to say I was did maybe 35 deals, but I was probably working 60 to 70 hours a week. And it was like, okay, this is good. I was making good money, but I didn't like the balance that I had. I was working like crazy. I was always at the office, running in, showing houses, And so I deliberately took, it was tail end of my third year, I deliberately took about a 2-month chunk, and I just overhauled my entire business. I'd met a guy who was very much systems and introduced some things to me. He wasn't even selling. He was just kind of a system nuts guy, and he was like, you could do this, and there's this. And so we worked intentionally on just overhauling my business from a system standpoint. And at that point, I went basically 100% paperless. And so what I did is I purchased an iPad, an iPad with data. So I don't know if the one they're auctioning off comes with data or if it's Wi-Fi only. I would say buy an iPad with data. I have an Apple Pencil. The new generation, I don't know if this is second or third, but the first generation pencil I don't like because you have to charge it. So then you have to take it home and charge. The new one clicks right in the side, magnet, charges it. And I have a Zag case that has a keyboard on it, and that pencil just stays there. My entire business is in this iPad. And I literally will just take this, I'll go show houses, I'll go list houses, and I have not personally printed a sheet of paper in many, many, many years. And so I use, for transaction management, On the back end, I use .loop. I know there's a lot of options. .loop is what I enjoy. I can access everything from here. PDF Expert 6 is an app that I have on here that allows me to integrate everything in. So if you don't have email and you can't electronically sign, right? If you're 80 years old, I have an 80-year-old client right now and she's selling her condo. She doesn't have email, right? Okay, how do I do, I see people still sending me offers where they're handwriting them. Like, I can do it all on the iPad. She can take the Apple Pencil, I just pull up the screen, she just signs it, and on we go. And so this year, right? So if we go year to date this year, I've closed 51 sides, okay? And I'm sorry, Al, but I have not worked 30 hours a week yet this year in real estate. I probably average 20 to 25. I have 8 children. I do not miss a sporting event. I normally pick my kids up from school, drop them off at school. And a lot of that's intentional. I could do more. I could do more units. I could do more transactions. But I love my kids, and I love other things in life. And so this has allowed me to have some balance and not be sitting at the office, right? An example would be, 7 years ago, you would have called me to look at a home, and so I'd go to the office, right? I print up the data sheet, I print up the map, print up the tax bill, I grab the manila folder and, show up with all this stuff and I hand it to you and we're looking at the house. And then I quit doing that and I realized the clients didn't really care. Like, nobody cares that that was just something that I learned in my office that all the agents did, and I thought I had to hand them all this stuff. And I quit handing it to them and they're like, nobody asked for it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. And it's on the iPad anyways, right? So if I'm showing you a house and you want to know what the tax bill is, I can pull up the tax bill, but I can also pull up the tax bill of the property next door. I can tell you who lives next door. You can't do that if you have it printed and it's sitting there, right? I can pull up anything they want to know because it's my computer and I have the internet and I can, access whatever sites I want to access. Right? So it's not just the iPad. I mean, the iPad has changed it because it allows me to do everything. I can write the offers, from my kitchen table. I can write them from your kitchen table. But I don't go to the office. I mean, I spend very little time at the office, I guess, is probably the other big thing that I don't. If you want to look at a house, I'm going to schedule it, and then I'm going to leave, 18 minutes before when it says it needs me to get there, and I'm going to pull it up on the iPad and show you the house, right? Because I have all the data already there. I do have, part of the transition was I brought on support staff, so I learned that I needed an admin, and I have 2 full-time staff people that work behind the scenes with me as far as the transactions go. I took the stuff that I really enjoy doing, which is honestly the people-facing. I don't enjoy talking to the lender and the title company and emailing them the offers and dates and deadlines and all that. I don't like that, right? That was part of the business. I was like, eh. So I just hired somebody to do that for me, so I didn't have to stress about it. I didn't have to worry about it. I'm still involved in it, and they give me updates, and here's where we're at. But it's nothing that I guess the capacity, I don't have to worry about it, right? I don't have to think. I used to go to bed at night, and I'd lay there, and I'd be like, oh, crap, what did I forget, right? There was one time right before this was my freak out moment, is there was a month where I had 26 sides closing in 1 month with 0 admins. It was just me. I had 26 units closing, and I forgot some stuff, and it was not pretty. I mean, luckily it all worked out, but at that moment I was like, I can't keep doing this like this. This is just not gonna work. So yeah, I don't know, Todd, what do you think? Questions? I mean,
You got me? Okay. I was coming up anyway to do the routine that I always do, which is to get you all to tell the whole truth and tell everybody how freaking incredible you are. All right, here I come. All right, So let's recap a few key important details. 8 children,
Yes.
until very recently solo. Congratulations, got married this year. Don't miss a sporting event. Sell 40, 50, 60 houses, kind of what you choose year by year. Dominate your market.
Yeah.
Live an incredible life of travel and recreation and all these things. Okay, raise your hand if you're in on some version of that. Okay, always a few people that won't raise their hand. And by the way, I don't think in any way you're contradicting what Al said, because Al's talking to the people that need a deal now. That's not you. You've got a business that has comfortably repeated itself for a long time to the point that you've been able to be not only selective, but increase your fees.
Totally.
Now, this is not an iPad commercial, although what you're saying is that that's your entire business.
Well, yeah, so I'm not right. It can be something else, right? Just like it doesn't have to be dot loop. It can be, I mean, I don't care what you use. I would just say there are options out there and there are different ways of doing real estate.
The point I think hopefully people are taking away, one of the points, is it's not about the device, because it could be a tablet, a Surface, whatever. It's the fact that you can be wherever you want or need to be and still do production like that, and the income that comes from it. And now you've chosen in some way to continue to increase income, but not increase the grind.
Oh, yeah.
So that looks like 20-something hours a week.
Yep.
Increasing income, even though kind of topped out at the number of units you want to sell.
Yeah, so this year, January 1st, we won't talk commission, we'll talk coconuts. I charged just so many coconuts before, right? But I didn't want to sell more houses because I was busy enough, and it was like, how do I increase? Well, kind of like Scott, right? When we list, we do everything. And so I learned really quickly in our mastermind group that I just wasn't charging enough, right? Like arguably I was price fixing because I was charging what everybody else was charging, even though I was worth way more. So January 1st, I just started charging more. We just upped what we charge, and nobody batted an eye.
Now, I don't want to make this about all those other topics, but that's a key piece to Matt's model of efficiency and being paperless. I think the takeaway there is Matt has looked for every lever to be more efficient in his business. Paperless means I can be wherever I want to be and I can do a lot of volume and I don't have to have a lot of things to manage. The fee structure, we can talk later about what it is and why and how, but it's about how can I earn more and not have to add the complexity of more transactions. Does that make sense? It's more about efficiency is kind of the hope of the takeaway of this REGS talk, is that Matt is found and is in finding and is pursuing more massive efficiency in his business so that he can live the life he wants to live. That's the whole point, right? So anything else you would add to that philosophy or even technical things that you're doing that other people could actually implement on their own?
So when I started, to Al's point, right, I needed deals, right? I did 110 open houses my first year. Okay, I was hitting everybody up.
Do what it takes, yeah.
Do what it takes, right? Now, this year, 98% of my business is past clients and past client referrals.
Yeah, so that was your question?
So my argument is, if you're in the business longer than 5-6 years, and the vast majority of your business is new leads coming in, I would say you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and every market and every situation is different. Yeah, call your sphere, work everybody. Yeah. Now, Matt's not just kicking his feet up on the couch. Obviously, when he's working, he's highly efficient. He's very good at what he does. He's not working completely alone. We want you to see the entire picture. But also, because he's delivering so much value per client, he's not having to go after more clients to consistently sustain his business and increase his income. Any final thoughts? Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. Take that from you. Hey, just like I've said, after every one of these, we're trying to keep these really tight and compact so you can hear from more people. And we have one more that's going to be incredible. But find these folks in the hall, ask the questions that we didn't quite get to. What we're trying to do is to give you a brutally honest look at the concept as well. And so that's why it's not easy to go recreate what Matt has done, but some of what he's done could make your life easier next week. You could take some of that and implement it right now, and your life could be easier. And like he said, over the course of a year or whatever that journey looks like, you could look back and go, I can't believe I used to do it that way. I'm so much more profitable. I have so much more time and flexibility and less drama and less room for error and all those things. So, hard transition. Next up, many, many times over the last 4 years on our feedback forums, we have heard, we want more Craig Schneider. So listen, you ask and you receive. Here comes the beard, the man, the legend himself, all the way from Rochester, Craig Schneider. Smattering of applause. You can walk. Listen, you do you. All right, let me get out of your way.
Farther walk than I had anticipated. So a couple things. Number one, Scott, we talk about our portfolio is our past listings. And, I think you need to keep that in mind. You shouldn't be putting something up you're embarrassed of. If you do, that's on you. So make sure you're doing right by every single one of your clients for yourself, for your own reasons. If you wouldn't want your own house to look like that, that is your house. You're representing it. So who wouldn't want a portfolio like Scott has, honestly? So set yourself up for success. But that's not my topic today. What I do want to say, though, is are you writing notes? Are you implementing these things when you get home? Yeah. I was personally writing notes back here for every single person that came up here on stage because there is amazing content being shared here. Where else can you go and be amongst a tribe of people that are all using the exact same systems and in the exact same trade as you and willing to be so open-minded about sharing all that stuff? There's nowhere. I also want to brag on Todd because he won't do it himself. He's calling everybody else out for doing it on stage, but he himself won't do it. He is providing you with so much opportunity and so much information, and he does have a coaching group that he offers even more if you're interested. And I would at least look at that because I know he doesn't advertise that enough here. So those are my little talking points. But who here has leads in their system that don't answer their phone calls, don't answer their texts, and don't answer emails? By a raise of hands. Oh, that guy right there doesn't. Oh, you did? You put your hand down? Or hand up? Does anybody not have somebody, does anybody have, everybody answers their phone calls and everything? Okay, so everybody agrees that they have people in their system. We at my brokerage, the same thing. We have people that they just won't return your calls. And you're just like, what's wrong with these people? So what is the answer to that? Why don't they answer your phone calls, your emails, or your text messages? Why don't they do that? Right, we're not giving them a reason, right? Which is what? We're not giving them enough value, right? We're not providing them, they don't see the value we have. So we have not shared with them or marketed in a way where they believe that we have something to offer them. Because if they felt we had something that was important to them or provided them value, they'd be crazy not to answer, right? So you have to figure out multiple ways, multiple roads into the resultant area of being able to meet with these people at an appointment. I mean, our goal is to actually meet with them and be able to provide them additional value, or at least have them answer our phone calls the first thing, or be able to talk to them and communicate with them in some shape or form. So we're always at my brokerage looking for opportunities to increase those paths. More paths, more opportunity, the ability to choose the clientele we work with. If you only have 2 people coming into you that you get to meet with and you need a sale, how many of those 2 people are you going to work with? Better be both of them, right? Because if not, you're not going to have any sales. But if you have 500 people and you can start sorting them and working with your ideal clients, is your life going to be easier? Are you going to enjoy your career more? So it is a numbers game. So there's a million ways to market to people in real estate. There's whole industries that sell products to realtors because you can make a lot of money because there's a lot of realtors and we're all looking for the easy button. So there's a lot of ways to do that. And the reality is a lot of them work great. It comes down to consistency and what you can do and what you can tolerate. But you do have to put the hours in, as we heard here from Al. I mean, there are hours that you need to invest in prospecting and meeting people and having conversations with them that show them the value you provide to them. It's all about them. Keep that in mind. It's not about you personally. So we have identified one that Todd asked me, what's something that everybody could walk away with, or a large audience of people at the seminar can walk away with and start implementing into their business immediately. And one thing that we've done recently at my brokerage is we brought back seminars. And these are first-time home buyer seminars, but you can call them what you want, buyer seminars, and you can market it at a higher level and say, hey, the market's changed for buyers. If you'd like to have an understanding of what it takes to buy in today's market, here's a seminar that we're offering. So we did one. We figured we'll give it a shot. We need to do something to get more of these leads answered. So we put it out just to we did an e-blast to our Real Geeks database, and we were amazed at how many people that we thought were just not even real clients. We thought we didn't even sign up. All of a sudden raised their hand and wanted to come into a seminar. Had no interest in answering our phone calls, coming in for a VIP treatment of coming in directly and meeting with us for the exact same content, one-on-one. They had no interest in that. However, when we offered it as a large group, they were interested. So me, as the person that tries to break down everything to its most simple level, which also, Todd, thanks for giving me 10 minutes. I can't tell you the time in 10 minutes. So I hope you guys got some music to pull up at then, so it's like the Oscars here. So we broke it down and we figured, why are people interested in coming to a home buyer seminar, yet they won't come to a buyer initial consultation, which I hear we're going to talk more about later today. Why are they interested in one and not the other? Anybody have any answers? Yeah, they feel trapped by the one-on-one. They feel like they're being sold something when it's one-on-one. But when they come in as a group, they can hide behind the group. So we were amazed at how sticky it was when we started doing these seminars and how easy it was to work into your conversation. So our agents try to get a one-on-one appointment because that's obviously your best point of communication, one-on-one. But if they can't, then we offer up our next seminar to them. And we try to keep them quarterly, and we try to pre-plan them so we always have one or two in front of us. So we can say, hey, it sounds like you're not ready at this point to come in for a one-on-one to learn the whole process of purchasing a home from A to Z. But, would you be interested in our next seminar, which is coming up in 2 weeks? Can I send you some additional information on that? People react very well to that. And it gives you, once again, a stance of where you're in control or you're showing your professionalism or you're providing them value. So, where was I going with that? So, I do have notes, don't worry. So the question is how do you end up holding a successful seminar? And I think the biggest thing for most people is that they get caught up in the details of how do I present to an audience about the whole process from A to Z. And so what we do for our agents is we tell them, take that basic buyer initial consultation or that first appointment and do it to an audience. That's all we're doing here. So that's how you do it, but you have to market it. So how do we market the product? Any ideas out there? Social media is great. We've used also, what's that, Eventbrite? Has anybody used Eventbrite? You'd be amazed at how many people sign up for that. What other ways can you market this? What is it? Rental buildings, in what sense? Oh, yeah, so rentals, that's also a really great marketing area. to send out postcards to rentals, or if you can call on those in those spheres. I love that idea. So, any other ideas? E-Blast, we just talked about that through Real Geeks. You can send your whole base. So what's the value of, why do they end up working? Well, some of the things we've identified is, number one, that you build that relationship and that trust with the client because you're walking them through a process. What other reasons do they work? We're building rapport. I love that. Anything else? They get to know you. So that trust level is built at a higher level, correct? So why would you not implement this type of process into your daily business? Costs money to do event. So this is where we talk about involving our other partner vendors. The type of people that you should have there would be, number one, a mortgage person, obviously, to walk them through the whole mortgage process, a title company or an attorney, depending on your state. But here's my advice. If you're bringing people like that into the fold, number one, ask them to share your event with their groups. But then number two, have them record and gain additional media for you. And what I'm saying is at the event, you're not going to have a huge production staff like Todd has here. It's going to be you and probably a mortgage person or an attorney or maybe a home inspector or somebody like that. Tell them to take tons and tons and tons of pictures and video clips and from different angles. And as they're doing their section, also ask them or do the same for them. You can then reuse this content to move on with your next events as well and pre-market your next events. So was that a 1 minute, Todd, or was that a, okay. So one last thing I want to say. I've been coming to this event from the very first one. If you don't know the story, pull me aside. I'll share it with you. But I will tell you this. The first year I came, I didn't know anybody in this room at all. And I sat there and I learned, and I when we went on breaks or the person next to me I introduced myself to, I will tell you, you want to have lifelong friends here, and you want to meet people that will forward your business. That music isn't loud at all.
Louder, louder, louder. Don't leave. All right. Great stuff. Let me help boil it down even more, because basically what you said is market it. Marketing is important. Here's all the ways we can market it. The content is actually the easy part, because you already talk to buyers all the time. So just share what you're already sharing with buyers. If you need help with that, we can talk later. But I want to come all the way back to why you think this works, and I want to make a quick point, because a lot of us did home buyer seminars back in the day, whatever that day was for you, and then you're like, they stopped working. Why, again, is it that you think they're working now?
I think it's because it's an easier way. Everybody feels like they're being sold on something, and we're, as salespeople, like, there's so many people trying to reach out and buy your time. And I think the reality is with this process, it opens up the door to do, it's like going to a car dealer on a Sunday where you're not going to be bothered by the salesperson, or going to maybe a car show, where they have all the brands there, where you can just kind of look and kind of feel it out.
So there's safety in numbers. I agree with that entirely. I also think you said something key, but you said it in passing, and I want to draw it out, that the market has changed for buyers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Buyers know that. But raise your hand if you would agree with me that they are stuck in uncertainty. They are afraid of doing something stupid. They're afraid to tell their friends, yeah, I bought a house at 7.9% or whatever. Yeah, I bought a house at what was maybe the peak of the market. Like, they're afraid of the perception. Do they want to buy right now, though? Yes, they do. So what I'm hearing you say, but I want to make sure it's one of the main bullet points people write down, is this is an old strategy that is working better because of the incredible amount of uncertainty and fear and anxiety in the market. What you're offering is clarity. You're offering safety in numbers. You're offering answers to questions. You're offering multiple professionals. You're offering it at no cost, no obligation, no risk. And that stuff is working better now because of the state of the market and the conditions that exist.
Yeah, and to that level, we also have a sheet that we share with them on 30 ways to get your offer accepted in this complicated market. So, you know, it's a sales piece that helps them believe that they're actually going to learn something that, you know, especially if they've seen their friends get crushed out in this market, it's really eye-opening.
One other question, one other point, and then we'll wrap up. You said you're marketing it to your database kind of first is what I heard, but you're also marketing it out to, you know, the public in some ways.
Well, to be honest with you, that's how it is now. But when we first started, we used to market it out big time, and we didn't get a lot of signups on the first one. And we said, well, let's just send it out to our e-blast. Why would those people even be interested? Because we're calling them already and offering them to come in. And that's where we found this gold pile.
You perfectly illustrated my point. The reason it's working better in your database is because you've built trust and relationship with them over time. Even if they've ignored everything you've ever sent them in your mind, they haven't. They've seen your name, they've seen the subject line, they've seen you consistently send property updates, consistently show up. They're not ready, they're fearful, they're anxious, they're hesitant, but you have built some trust, even automatically through Real Geeks and other whatever else you're doing. So that's why that ground is so fertile in my mind. And your opening point might be the best point. This isn't reinvigorating a part of your database that you have otherwise not reached. But you are reaching them. You're just not getting a response from them. So what a cool strategy that's not that hard to implement to your existing database, whether you have 500 leads or 500,000 leads. I think you can take this home and implement it. Any final thoughts?
Well, one final thought that I did have in my notes. You have to have those multiple paths is what I'm sharing with the group. And one of those other is the open houses that we heard two of the other speakers talk about. And, you know, one thing I will say is I have a great video on the Real Geeks Keeping It Real about open houses. But the reason I'm sharing that with you is there is so much great content on that Keeping It Real that actually I looked at the most recent statistic and it said 98% of agents that don't look at that stuff are out of their minds.
and you wrote that statistic, but I stamped it and approved it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, buddy. Find Craig in the hallway. We will make sure that if you didn't get a point clarified or a question answered, that these guys would be glad to answer that for you.